Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the English Daily Book Summary YouTube channel. In order to not stop learning, listen to an English book summary every day for free.
James Root, The Archetype Effect, Unlocking the 6 Types of Motivation at Work. Why do you go to work, and why does it often feel like others are motivated by something entirely different? From the CEO to the barista, the engineer to the HR rep, we all show up to work with wildly different drivers, yet most systems treat us as if we're the same. The truth is, the workplace was built around one kind of worker, someone who's efficient, obedient, and focused on climbing the ladder. But today's world is more complex, and what energizes one person might drain another. As gig work, flexible schedules, and automation reshape jobs, understanding what really motivates people has never been more urgent. In this blink, you'll discover a new way to think about work through 6 powerful archetypes. You'll explore why traditional management models fall short, how motivation varies by age and role, and how leaders and organizations can create jobs that actually fit the people who do them. Built for control, breaking under pressure. In 1961, General Motors handed employees a blunt career guide. If you want a promotion, make your boss happy. It didn't matter how skilled you were, what mattered was obedience. That message captured the logic of the time. Success meant staying in line, not standing out. This mindset came from systems shaped by the American thinkers, Frederick Winslow Taylor and Alfred Sloan. Taylor's approach, known as scientific management, was built around breaking tasks into simple, repeatable steps and rewarding workers who followed them efficiently. Sloan expanded this to large-scale corporate management, adding layers of hierarchy, standardized performance tracking, and formalized procedures. Together, they helped create a workplace culture that prized predictability and control over creativity or judgment. Scientific management promised a win-win. Workers earned more by hitting targets, and companies cut waste. But the trade-off was rigidity. Employees were treated less as thinkers and more as tools for output. Critics pointed out that this removed the human element from work. Still, those same techniques, like detailed procedures, performance metrics, and tight oversight, became the default model in business, education, healthcare, and government alike. Even now, many software platforms and HR systems entrench similar logics, monitoring output, ranking performance, and quantifying behavior. That's where Austrian-American thinker Peter Drucker steps into the debate. He argued that jobs based on thinking, analysis, and problem-solving required a different kind of management. You can't measure a good idea the way you measure the speed of a machine. So instead of demanding compliance, Drucker urged leaders to support autonomy, build on people's strengths, and encourage continuous learning. This led to the rise of the knowledge worker. Now fast forward to the COVID-19 pandemic. Suddenly, the old systems didn't work. Teams had to improvise, chains of command broke down, and direct communication replaced formal channels. What once seemed risky, as in speed, flexibility, and trust, became essential for survival. The cracks in the system were no longer theoretical. They were visible, urgent, and unavoidable. The 6 archetypes that shatter the idea of the average worker. In the 1950s, US Air Force engineers realized why so many pilots were crashing planes. They'd built cockpits based on the average pilot, only to discover that the average dimensions didn't match anyone in real life. The fix: adjustable features that could adapt to real individual pilots. This same logic applies to today's workplaces. Systems built around the average worker often fail because people's needs, values, and motivations are too different for a single mold to fit. To understand what actually drives people to work and what makes them stay, researchers studied tens of thousands of workers across 19 countries. The result was a motivational model with 10 dimensions, from risk tolerance to mastery. These weren't intended as rigid labels, but as flexible spectrums. Some people are deeply defined by their careers, while others see work as just a way to pay the bills. Some are drawn to risk and uncertainty. Others want predictability and structure. The remaining dimensions include autonomy, future orientation, need for status, and desire to contribute to something larger than yourself. From this research, 6 common motivational patterns emerged. Don't think of these as fixed personality types, but rather as fluid profiles that help explain how different people engage with work. Most people lean toward one main pattern, but can show traits from others. These archetypes are flexible tools for self-awareness and better teamwork. Let's briefly look at each in turn. First up, givers are fulfilled by making a difference. They're emotionally invested, collaborative, and often driven by empathy and trust. They shine in service-oriented roles where they can help others thrive. Operators, on the other hand, value consistency, clear expectations, and harmony on the team. They tend to separate work from personal identity and prefer stable routines over constant reinvention. Then we have the artisans, who are all about quality and craft. They take deep pride in mastering their skills and often prefer to work independently. While they may not seek the spotlight, their focus and standards are high. Explorers crave learning, change, and stimulation. They're practical in building skills and often change roles or industries to keep growing. They thrive when given freedom and variety. Next, meet the strivers. These people are focused on achievement, upward mobility, and recognition. They work hard, set ambitious goals, and track success by comparing their progress to others. Finally, we have the pioneers, who want to shape the future. They take bold risks, commit to long-term visions, and often blur the line between who they are and what they do. These patterns aren't fixed for life. People often shift from one to another as their priorities change, like moving from striver to giver or artisan later in their careers. Understanding these archetypes can help you design work that actually fits people, and not an imaginary average. Stop managing workers like they're all the same. At one global services firm, internal data revealed something surprising. Nearly twice as many employees fit the striver archetype compared to global averages. These were people driven by recognition and advancement. Leadership had just removed fast-track promotions to promote fairness, but after seeing how much strivers valued upward movement, they reversed the decision. Meanwhile, new digital hires brought a very different motivational profile. More pioneers and explorers, prompting a rethink of how performance was evaluated and how different archetypes were integrated into teams. This revealed a deeper truth that applies across organizations. When people's motivations aren't fully understood, even well-meaning policies can backfire. Archetypes aren't just personality types. They explain what energizes people at work. Instead of focusing on what someone does, they help you understand why they do it. That's where friction often starts. If your team's motivation patterns don't match the environment they're working in, even high performers can check out. Many workplaces unknowingly build systems, such as hiring, evaluation, and promotion, around one dominant archetype, usually the striver. That tilts the playing field. Once you understand which archetypes are present across your teams, you can spot hidden sources of tension and design work experiences that feel energizing instead of draining. Shared archetype language also helps teams work together more effectively and reveals what actually drives long-term performance and satisfaction. This shift also changes how roles get designed. It's not enough to match someone's skills, you've got to match their motivation. One person might want recognition, another might care more about autonomy or creativity. Archetype-informed role design uses those insights to shape jobs that people will actually want to do. Some HR tools are already using this logic to combine skills matching with motivation fit, which helps reduce misplacement and burnout. If you're a manager, knowing your team's archetypes lets you adjust your approach. Strivers might want goals and feedback. Givers might do better in team-driven roles. Pioneers, meanwhile, want room to experiment. Archetype training gives leaders the tools to assign tasks more effectively, tailor recognition, and prevent unnecessary friction before it starts. Motivation diversity becomes something you can work with, not around. And if you know your own archetype, you can speak up more clearly. You'll be better equipped to ask for what keeps you engaged and frame your needs in a way that makes sense to others. Leaders bring their own wiring, fuel, and stress. Italian merchant Francis Datini kept such detailed tabs on his employees in the 1300s that nothing escaped him, not even a missing nail. Not a single transaction went unrecorded. Datini monitored expenses, supplies, and daily labor with obsessive precision. For him, control was the core of good management. Every detail had to be tracked. Hundreds of years later, Alfred Sloan ran General Motors with the opposite instinct. He built a company so structured and self-regulating that personal involvement became nearly unnecessary. Both of these leaders shaped their organizations in their own image. Their choices reflected what gave them a sense of control, progress, or purpose, not some abstract theory. You may not think of leaders this way, but they're workers too. They've got the same core archetypes as anyone else, shaped by what energizes them. Some chase change, others look for structure. These internal patterns shape not just their goals, but the way they go after them. Things start to break down when a leader's core drive clashes with the team or culture around them. A change-loving leader might push for reinvention that feels unneeded. One who values achievement might overlook teammates who are motivated by craftsmanship or collaboration. That kind of mismatch leads to frustration, even when everyone is skilled and well-intentioned. Skills matter, but they don't tell you why someone leads the way they do. Two people can be effective strategists, but one might be pulled forward by fresh ideas while the other depends on clear milestones. When you understand what fuels you, it's easier to spot both your strengths and your blind spots. Stress doesn't show up the same way for everyone either. Operators who prefer structure and calm are especially sensitive to conflict and sudden changes. Pioneers and explorers handle ambiguity well, but lose steam when their creativity is blocked. Strivers get discouraged when recognition or progress stalls. Meanwhile, givers and explorers report lower stress, especially when their work involves helping others or trying something new. That's why wellness support has to match what people care about. Predictable workloads help operators. Pioneers want growth and mission-driven goals. Givers value connection. Strivers need clear rewards. It's not the amount of support, it's whether it reflects what keeps people going. When your job taps into what drives you, even tough days feel manageable. But when the role pulls you away from your core energy source, motivation drops and stress builds fast. If you're managing people, knowing what motivates them can help you shape work environments that actually keep them engaged and healthy. Stop designing jobs for the average worker. In The Intern, Robert De Niro plays a 70-year-old retiree who finds renewed purpose through an internship at a high-energy startup. The movie offers a feel-good story about late career reinvention and generational teamwork. But most older workers don't get that chance. They're often left out of roles where they could still contribute, especially roles that tap into their need for autonomy and purpose. While age is one visible aspect of diversity, the real story lies in people's hidden drivers, what actually motivates them at work, and those drivers shift in consistent patterns. Younger workers are drawn to novelty and influence, often fitting the explorer or pioneer archetypes. As people grow older, they become more focused on stability, meaning, and independence, traits common among givers and artisans. Gender plays a role too. Across nearly all countries studied, women consistently prioritize flexibility and fair compensation more than men. This variation means that a one-size-fits-all approach to talent doesn't hold up. Traditional HR models assume everyone wants the same things: standard promotions, structured ladders, or more responsibility. But when you ignore what truly energizes people, you end up with disengagement, turnover, and missed potential. Skills are only part of the equation. What people need from work matters just as much. So what makes a good job? It's not the title or paycheck, it's how well the role matches someone's internal drivers. That could mean predictable tasks and a stable routine, or freedom to experiment and make a real-world difference. A role that fuels one person's energy might leave someone else exhausted. It all comes down to how well the job lines up with what drives them. That's why more companies are rethinking the system. Instead of forcing everyone into a narrow mold, They're building HR systems that account for the 6 archetypes. This means tailoring how you hire, train, and promote based on what actually drives each employee. The result: better engagement, stronger performance, and teams that stick around longer. Rethinking HR also means ditching the idea that the only way up is into management. Some of your best people may not want to lead teams. They may want to go deep into a craft or own a project from start to finish without becoming anyone's boss. Roles designed with flexible pathways let artisans, operators, and others contribute fully without being pushed into a leadership box that doesn't fit. Looking ahead, this kind of flexibility will be non-negotiable. As workforces age, fertility rates drop, and values shift, companies need to meet people where they are. That might mean phased retirements, faster tracks for high-energy pioneers, or upskilling programs tailored to different motivators. The future of work won't be won by those who manage people best. It'll be led by those who understand what makes them tick. In this Blink to the Archetype Effect by James Root, you've learned that the modern workplace still runs on outdated assumptions about what drives people to work. From the legacy of Frederick Taylor's scientific management to today's HR systems, much of work has been built for efficiency and control, not for human motivation. But new research reveals that there's no such thing as an average worker. Instead, 6 core archetypes: givers, operators, artisans, explorers, strivers, and pioneers reflect the diverse ways people find meaning, energy, and satisfaction at work. Understanding these archetypes can transform how we design jobs, lead teams, and support well-being. From flexible performance systems to personalized career paths, the future of work belongs to organizations that move beyond one-size-fits-all thinking and design work that fits people, not the other way around. Okay, that's it for this Blink. We hope you enjoyed it. If you can, please take the time to leave us a rating. We always appreciate your feedback. See you in the next Blink.